Hello, we are going to see how artificial intelligence can help us code simple things in JavaScript. Here I posted a code that does something, and someone, Marco Noguera, asked me what changes must be made to this code to have a second input with other options. For instance, to ask how much money the business made last year. Because my code was to have one input and do something with it on Système IO. So the question, I'm going to show you how to do it yourself with artificial intelligence. For this, we will compare or see three main ones, which is ChatGPT, Claude, and Google Gemini. There are others, of course, but those ones are fine. And for our purpose, any artificial intelligence is now clever enough to help us. But the problem with that is that what the artificial intelligence answers, we must be able to see if it's correct or not, because it's not always correct. And that's the problem. Of course, we can try the code and see if it works. If it's really simple, it's obvious if it works or not. But sometimes there might be a bug somewhere for a special case that we cannot see when we test, because we not test every possibilities. So that's a problem, and that's why to be able to code oneself is still useful, even with artificial intelligence, because we can then check the answer of artificial intelligence, and the AI can be a tool for developers, for people who know how to code, can be a tool to speed up the process of coming up with the code. We ask the artificial intelligence, we check the answer, and if it seems right, we can test it then. And so we don't have to look for Google to think about it, how to make this code. So for this, what I will do is simply take the code that I gave and ask the question. So I will put the question first and then give the code. So quick question. This one. So I put it in ChatGPT, and then I will copy it to the others. Here is the original code. Because for this answer, this question, I can answer this. The changes will be, is not to copy and paste 2 times. It will be in a lot of places. We have to add things, of course. For example, here in this part, add things, then in this part. But then you have some parts that will not change. The last part, for instance, needs to be only 1 time, and it's generic, doesn't need to be modified. So it's a complex question to add a second input, but we could say to add any amount of other input. But here we will do only 2, just like the question. Here is the original code. So I copy the code. I check that, okay, it's well copied. And then I copy the whole question, and I input it in the others AI. Just to check what they answer. Okay, so 1. Those are all free versions of the AI. I don't have a paid account on any of them. And the best one is always changing. Often it's ChatGPT, and then the other catch up. So at this moment for code, I think it's Gemini, the Gemini 2.5 Pro preview. But it's the best is for very hard questions. For those simple ones, anyone can do it now. We are in 2025. They have made much more progress, and because what we ask them is very simple, in fact. When it's JavaScript with HTML, CSS, those technologies are very easy compared to the questions that are being asked and the benchmark, what they are made of. So here, I think I made a mistake by enabling Canvas, because instead of giving me just the code, it makes the whole HTML page, because it wants to show me the result. That's not good. So for Gemini, show me an example, but I don't want that. And I think it's false also, because here it's not a drop-down So this is bad, but I don't know why. Maybe if I don't put canvas, it will be better. Let's see for Claude. So Claude answers just the script. So that looks better, of course. And if we check here, we have config first drop down for locations, second drop downs for earnings. So seems fine. Yes, it seems good. And then I think after it will use this second one. So the create drop down. Okay, so this one is generic. It seems fine, but of course I'm not a computer, so we need to try it. But I think it's fine because here you see create both drop downs, location and earnings, and it uses create drop down, the same function for different of our configs. Setup buttons, so buttons for, of course the button only need one, yes, and event listener for both fields. I don't know, maybe this one is correct. And let's see ChatGPT. Okay, so here it does a bit differently, but it's fine. I think maybe it's better. It's more complex because it creates an array for the two inputs. Where here it was no, it was the same. Still an array, but it was a bit different because here you see you have an object here and another object, but here the object is as a property name, so it's easier to say we need to access this one. I think here it does this, and then at some point I think it was no, I mean this one, no. Okay, so I don't know which one is best, in fact. I mean, I don't like this one of ChatGPT because it doesn't have a name. But it doesn't matter when we use it, as long as we know. And you see here, yes, because it's very generic. It doesn't need a name because the input ID is what matters. Or maybe ChatGPT is better in this case because then we can add 3 configs or 4, and it will still work. We just need to add one more, this, and here is very generic. So maybe the ChatGPT one is better in this case. I don't know, we have to check after, you know, if it's... Anyway, that's the end of the video because I'm not going to test it. But then you see that it needs, still the human needs to be here and to understand. Because when I try it, if it goes wrong, when my test, I need to know why. So it's not as easy. Because maybe this example is not so easy. Yeah, I mean, in here you have a lot of code. And it's quite complex to start with. But I'm pretty sure that both ChatGPT and Claude, I think they succeed. If we try it, I think it works. And even Gemini, maybe if we don't ask for the canvas, I mean, if we try again, new discussion, no canvas, let's see. Because Gemini is meant to be the best one. So here it gives me, okay, here it creates 2 things, config and config2. So it's not the best, it's very easy to understand, but maybe not the best in terms of programming, but it explains everything. I mean, the other can explain also if you ask them. Refactor the drop-down. Okay. He adds a lot of comments also in the code, so we can learn coding with AI. Call, and now we put all together. Complete modify code. This is not good because we don't need a complete code, just this part. Rename from config to config1 for clarity. Yeah, so now the code is very long because of all the comments, which are good. The comments is for the human. So if we come back to this code later, we have all those comments to understand what was going on. You know, Gemini, a good answer, I think, much more than what we ask it to do. We can learn a lot here about coding, about what we are doing. So if we spend the time, it's better than use Google to learn all about it. And we can ask, for instance, we can say, give me the resulting code without any comment. It gives me the HTML, also not good. So only the JavaScript. Okay, you have reached your limit for 2.5 Pro. Of course, here we can use another one, less advanced. Don't know. This one. But it starts a new conversation, so we will have to give it the question again. Okay, so here, config, it's a one object here with first input and second input. Okay, that's it for this video. Bye bye.